In the heart of the city, a nightmare is unfolding, one body at a time. The first victim is found in a quiet alley, a man named Thomas Miller. The police run his prints, and the result is impossible. Thomas Miller was declared dead 5 years ago, a supposed victim of a boating accident. His body was never found, but the case was closed. Soon after, another body surfaces. This time, it's a woman, Eleanor Vance. Her file tells the same story, declared legally dead after disappearing 7 years prior. The city holds its breath as a third victim is discovered. Same pattern, a person long dead, now truly dead. Detectives Sarah Jenkins and Mark Riley are assigned to the case, a case that defies all logic. How can you murder someone who's already dead? They start digging, not into recent events, but into the ghosts of the past. Each victim, they discover, wasn't just a missing person. They were fugitives. Thomas Miller wasn't a victim of a boating accident. He was an embezzler who stole millions from his company and staged his death to escape with the money. Eleanor Vance wasn't lost at sea. She was a key witness in a mob trial who faked her death to enter a self-made witness protection program, leaving her partners to take the fall. The third victim, a man named George Reed, had faked a hiking accident to escape charges of industrial espionage. The pattern is chillingly clear. Someone is hunting ghosts. Someone is delivering a brand of justice that bypasses the legal system entirely. The killer isn't just a murderer, they're a cleaner tying up loose ends that the world had forgotten. Jenkins and Riley realize they're not just looking for a killer. They're looking for someone with access to records, someone who can connect the dots between old crimes and faked deaths. They need to find someone who knows how to make people disappear and how to find them again. Their investigation leads them to a place where death is a business, the city morgue. They start poring over old employment records, looking for anyone who might have had the means and the motive. That's when they find him, Arthur Finch, a quiet, unassuming mortuary clerk who worked at the city morgue for over 30 years. He retired a couple of years back, but during his tenure, he would have handled the paperwork for countless deaths, including the faked ones. He would have seen the suspicious gaps, the missing bodies, the hastily signed documents. Arthur Finch was a man who lived surrounded by death, a silent observer of the city's darkest secrets. Jenkins and Riley track Finch to a secluded house on the outskirts of the city. They expect a confrontation, a confession, a final standoff with the ghost hunter. What they find is another body. The house is silent, meticulously clean, except for the single figure in the living room. It's Arthur Finch. He's the fourth victim. But as they examine the scene, the chilling logic of the case shatters completely. Next to his body is a file, just like the ones found on the other victims. It contains his own death certificate, signed and dated a year ago. Cause of death. Natural causes. This is the piece that doesn't fit. The other victims faked their own deaths to escape justice. Why would Arthur Finch, the supposed killer, have a forged death certificate? He wasn't a fugitive. He was a humble clerk. It makes no sense. The ghost hunter couldn't be the hunter and the hunted. The detectives are back to square one, but with a terrifying new question. If Finch wasn't the killer, then who was he? And more importantly, who killed him and why was his death faked? The case takes a sharp, personal turn. Jenkins, haunted by the inconsistencies, starts to look not at Finch, but around him. Who was in his life, who knew him well enough to forge his death certificate? There's only one person who fits, his apprentice. A young, bright-eyed mortician he trained years ago, someone he treated like a son. Someone who now works as a lead technician at the city morgue. Someone who had access to all the same records as Finch, someone named Mark Riley. Jenkins feels a cold dread creep up her spine as she looks across the squad room at her partner. Her partner who had been with her every step of the way. Her partner, who always seemed to be one step ahead, guiding the investigation, pointing them towards Finch, she remembers little things. How Riley was the first to suggest the morgue connection. How he discovered the files on the victims. He wasn't helping solve the case. He was framing his old mentor. The truth is darker than she could have ever imagined. Arthur Finch was the ghost hunter. He had spent his life watching criminals slip through the cracks by faking their deaths. In his retirement, he decided to become the final judge, using his unique knowledge to track them down and deliver the justice he felt they deserved. He had successfully hunted and eliminated 3 fugitives, but he had made one mistake. He had confided in his protege, Mark Riley. Riley saw an opportunity. He knew about Finch's crusade. He also knew Finch had a terminal illness and didn't have long to live. So, Riley crafted a plan of his own. He let Finch carry out his gruesome work. Then, when Finch was at his weakest, Riley killed him. He made it look like Finch was just another victim in the pattern. But why? The answer lies in Finch's will. Arthur Finch, a man with no family, was secretly wealthy, having made savvy investments throughout his quiet life. And in his will, he left his entire fortune to the one person he considered family, his apprentice, Mark Riley. But there was a catch. Finch's will stipulated that Riley would only inherit the money upon Finch's death. With Finch's illness progressing slowly, Riley grew impatient. He needed the money now. So he forged Finch's death certificate a year ago, hoping to claim the inheritance early. But the lawyers were thorough. They needed to see a body Riley couldn't provide because Finch was still alive. So Riley was stuck. He had a death certificate, but no corpse to back it up. When Finch began his killing spree, Riley saw his chance. He could let Finch do the dirty work, then kill Finch and pass him off as the final victim of a larger conspiracy. He could present Finch's body, and his faked death certificate would finally be validated. He would inherit the fortune and be hailed as the hero detective who solved the case. He played Jenkins perfectly, leading her down a path he had carefully constructed. He used the investigation to cover his own tracks. In a tense final confrontation, Jenkins lays it all out for him in the morgue, the very place where the story began and was meant to end. Surrounded by the cold steel drawers of the dead, Riley's calm demeanor finally cracks. He confesses everything: his greed, his manipulation, and the murder of the man who saw him as a son. The story began with bodies of people who were already dead, and it ends with the revelation of a killer who tried to profit from a death that hadn't even happened yet. In this city, it seems not even death is the end. It can be a lie, a weapon, or even a motive. Thanks for watching. If you're fascinated by mysteries where the truth is stranger than fiction, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the most twisted criminal minds. Let us know in the comments what you think of this incredible case. See you next time.